Please. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. If I might have your attention, please. If you can hear me, clap. If you can hear me, clap. If you can hear me, clap. I learned that from a teacher. How about that? If we could begin to gather, please, we're going to start. We're just a moment or two late, and we'd like to get started. So we have some seats up front here at tables for members of the media, but if they're not occupied, feel free to go ahead and sit down here at the table. We do have some standing room here, obviously, back here. So we are waiting on one guest who should be walking up any second. So we'll get started in just a moment. But please feel free to come in as close as you want. Again, feel free to take some seats here at the front.
Oh, Matt's here.
Okay. All right, so I'm Doug Nick, the Communications Director for the State Department of Education. We're here to talk about legislation to eliminate harmful foods from being made available at public schools. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Superintendent Tom Horn.
Thank you all for coming. We have organized this press conference to support Representative Biasucci's bill to require that food served in schools not have harmful ingredients and ingredients that can affect neural behavior in students as determined by scientific studies. I want to thank Turning Point Action Director Chris Chavez, who will speak later, and Turning Point leader Charlie Kirk for the impressive organizing they have done on this issue. I also want to thank Representative Matt Gress and Senator Jana, Shamp, and Brian Sykes of the Foundation of Government Accountability, who will also speak later. Somebody's going to clap for them? Yeah. And I want to also recognize we have a few other legislators here. Senator David Gowan, Representative Lisa Frank, Representative Justin Wilmoth, and Marco Carbone. Do you want to all wave at us?
I think they're behind us.
They're behind us, okay.
I'm shouting you from behind.
There you go. The ingredients that are subject to the bill, because scientific evidence shows that they can affect neural behavior in students, are potassium bromate, propylparaben, titanium dioxide, brominated vegetable oil, yellow dyes 5 and 6, blue dyes 1 and 2, red dyes 3 and 40, and green dye 3. I have been on a long crusade for healthier foods and drinks in our schools, which studies have shown affect academic performance. In 2006, almost 20 years ago, I succeeded in getting sugared soda out of all of our school vending machines. I would bring a pyramid of cubes about this big of sugar, showing how much sugar is in sodas, and people were shocked to see how much sugar is in the soda. There's a big pyramid of sugar cubes in every can of soda. I want to emphasize that the dietitians in our schools are doing a great job. Only 5% of the schools in our schools have any of the foods in our schools have any of these ingredients. But we need to continue being a leader in this country, ahead of the federal government, in making sure the foods and drinks that are given to our students are healthy. This can be accomplished. Manufacturers are already producing foods for sale in other countries that have more regulations without these harmful ingredients. The same manufacturers that have the harmful ingredients in this country are manufacturing the foods without the harmful ingredients in Europe and Canada, countries that have more regulations. There are approximately, get this, 10,000 ingredients approved for use in the U.S. versus 400 in Europe. Our department spends $4.3 million so that schools will serve non-processed foods from local farms. $4.3 million so our schools will serve non-processed foods from local farms. Now I would like to introduce the sponsor of the bill, Representative Biasucci.
All right. All right, thank you guys. First, I just want to thank everybody for being here. This is an incredible turnout, and I think it shows everybody how much we care about this. You know, whether you're a soccer mom, you're a dad, a teacher, a celebrity like Rob Schneider, everybody cares. And I think that is so important, and it really speaks volumes on why we believe that we need to make sure our children are getting the best food possible, especially in our school lunches. So, you know, this kind of started, I was in Italy last summer with my family. My family's from there, and I spent about a month there. And, you know, every day for about 3 weeks, I'm eating pasta and pizza and ice cream and cannolis, all the best food in the world. But I felt great. And I started wondering, why is this happening to where I'm able to eat these foods in a different country, and yet I don't feel sick, I don't feel bloated, I'm not getting the kind of things I feel when I'm eating these foods in the U.S. So I started to do some research. I started to go to the grocery store, started turning labels, and I went down the rabbit hole. And here we are when we find the same product, and Superintendent Horn spoke about this, that is sold in Europe. And I want to thank Food Babe. Everybody knows who Food Babe is. Vani Hari, she's fantastic. She's been a great help in all this. And she wasn't wrong. When you look at this list of Kellogg's making the Fruit Loops for Germany versus the Fruit Loops for the U.S., I mean, look at the difference between that list of ingredients that are there and here. So then you ask yourself, if the companies are already making this product safer, better, healthier for their children, what are we doing? What are we doing in this country when we know what these products are doing? We know that what these ingredients and these chemicals are doing to our bodies. Now we know this. I can't blame my parents. I can't blame a lot of you in this room, because nobody knew what was happening. Nobody knew what Red 40 was doing. Nobody knew what Red 3 was doing. But yet the government banned Red 3 35 years ago to put on your skin, and just 2 weeks ago they said, well, let's not eat it now, which is absolutely crazy to think that this is where we're at. So I'm just here to tell you it's time for Arizona to step up to the plate and say our children matter. Yeah. Our future leaders matter. And I want to thank RFK Jr., right? You know, I think a lot of us here that have been researching this, you have everybody, like I said, from Food Babe to Dr. Amen, to Callie Means to, you know, I can name a list of 1,000 people that have been talking about this for so long. But it took Bobby to get in the position he is in now for something to happen. Yeah. And I can't thank him enough for being the microphone at the major level, at the high level, to finally put a spotlight on this. So I heard that he was just confirmed. Was it today? Through the finance committee, which is step one, which was fantastic. I know there's still a long way to go, but you know, before I turn it over to some incredible speakers behind me, I want to explain what kind of community this is. Last night I'm at dinner, and we're talking about this bill and what's going on, and I'm actually talking to Callie, and he goes, you know, let me call Danica real quick. Let's see if she'll show up. 12 hours later, she's here. Yeah. Right? Rob, this guy I've spoken to 3, 4, 5 times on the phone. The passion that is felt and the want and the need and the desire to make change is real. It's genuine. It comes to the point of there's no financial benefit for this. This is about doing what's right for the people of Arizona, for the country, for our children. This is what I love most about this. I've never seen people come to the table without even asking a question or batting an eye. They just said, how do we help? How do we get this done? I'm 100% behind you. That's what I love about being a state legislator, being in this position. We're going to make change. And I appreciate all of you getting behind me and making this happen and getting behind us to make this happen. So thank you guys all so much for being here. This is step one. We have committee today. I'm confident this will pass. And I'm going to turn it over to some great people who are going to talk a little bit more about why this is so important to them. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
All right. Our next speaker is Matt Gress, Chairman of the House Education Committee. He's my representative. Oh, I want to mention something else first. Some of the data I gave you I got from the confirmation of Robert Kennedy that I watched on C-SPAN. So some good things do come out of confirmation here. Not much, but some good things. Matt Gress is Chairman of the Education Committee, and he's my representative, and he's a fabulous legislator. Let's hear it from Matt Gress.
Hey, thank you. And Superintendent Horn is my most favorite constituent, but don't tell anybody else that. thank you, Representative Biasucci, and thank you all for being here and bringing this issue of utmost importance to the attention of our state. And certainly this has been a topic that has gripped the country as we deal with the health of our nation. We are, I'm sorry, we are what we eat. And the state of Arizona has a responsibility to protect our children and their health. This bill respects children, keeping dangerous chemicals away from their food. We know that ultra-processed food is linked to childhood obesity, and we know that low-income children who disproportionately rely on school lunches and school breakfasts deserve to have access to healthy, nutritious food. Our nation can only be as healthy as our children are. And Superintendent Horn mentioned some of these chemicals in our food, and I just wanted to briefly hit on the deleterious impacts of them. Potassium bromate linked to renal cancer, propylparaben linked to breast cancer, titanium dioxide associated with tumor development and inflammation, identified as a particular concern when consumed by children. Brominated vegetable oil. The FDA no longer allows the use of BVO in food due to studies that found clear potential or adverse health effects in human. Yellow dye 5 and 6 associated with carcinogens. Blue dye 1 or 2 causes hypersensitivity reactions. Green dye 3 banned in the EU due to the links related to cancer. Red dye 3 and 40 linked to cancer. I mean, this needs to end. And so I'm proud as chairman of the Education Committee to consider Representative Biasucci's bill. We are going to be very adamant in committee today about the life and death consequences of what we are serving our kids in the cafeteria. So thank you for your attention, and more to come. Thank you, Superintendent.
The next speaker is Senator Jana Shamp, with whom I've worked very closely on parental choice. And she is a nurse, and she's a co-sponsor of this bill. Senator Shamp.
Thank you, Superintendent Horn. Good morning. I am the Senate Majority Leader, and I am the co-sponsor, proud co-sponsor of HB 2164. I'm also a proud mom, Nana, and most importantly, in this space, I'm an Arizona citizen that's at the legislature fighting for the voices of all the moms out there that want their kids to eat healthy foods.
All right.
As parents, we don't always have all the answers, but when it comes to raising our children, oftentimes we are simply doing our best. But when we know better, we do better. This should also apply to the leaders in charge of making decisions that will impact our children outside of our homes, and I take that responsibility very seriously. We know the number of pre-diabetic kids in America has doubled in the last 20 years. And nearly half of school-aged children and adolescents have at least one chronic illness. And that's according to the CDC. That is absolutely unfathomable to me, to think about where we've come in 20 years. Once someone is pre-diabetic, they're on their way to developing type 2 diabetes, which then raises their risk for heart disease, high cholesterol, fatty liver disease, and many other serious health conditions that I see daily in the operating room. This has to stop. We should not be seeing pediatrics. I shouldn't be doing these cases. It's unbelievable. We know that a diet filled with ultra-processed food can lead to dozens of chronic diseases and cancer. We've mentioned the studies. We are going to continue to mention the studies because the data proves it. Right now, the odds are stacked against our children. Now more than ever, they are more likely to develop a chronic disease that will impact the quality of their life and potentially shorten their lifespan. One change isn't going to magically make this issue disappear, but each small change that we can make, such as banning toxic chemicals in our foods and our school lunches, will make an enormous difference. School lunches should not be composed of poison. We know better. Now, we're going to do better. We fully support the MAHA movement, but in Arizona, it has two meanings. Make America healthy again, and make Arizona healthy again, and that starts with our kids. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is from Turning Point, and Turning Point has done an absolutely fabulous job of organizing around this issue, especially very large numbers of mothers on this issue. How many of you are here today from Turning Point? Let's hear from you. So the organizer of all of this action that I'm talking about is Chris Chavez, Turning Point Action Director of Coalitions. And let's hear it for Chris Chavez.
Easiest right here. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, is the microphone working now? Yeah. Awesome. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Chavez. I'm working with Turning Point Action and our coalitions and alliances here in Phoenix, Arizona. Again, thank you all so much for being here. There is so much opportunity here in Arizona to make a difference, not just in everyone's lives, but specifically our kids' lives. There's a lot of mama bears out there that helped us save this country in 2024. Give it up for all the mama bears out there. One of our biggest coalitions is our Moms Coalition, not just in Arizona, but statewide as well. And all those moms showed up in 2024 to save their families' futures and our futures as well. So again, thank you, Mama Bears. I also want to give a huge shout out to all of our Turning Point Action staff that's out there building these coalitions on the ground. Without you guys, none of this would happen. We've got Joseph in the East Valley. Give it up for Joseph. Yeah. He's building these coalitions from the ground up. We've got Alyssa. I'm not sure where Alyssa is. Alyssa is back. She's behind me. She's buried back there. And of course, we have Jacob over in Scottsdale building our Scottsdale Healthy Americans Coalition. When Katarina White came to me and said, we're introducing this bill, there's so much potential here, we want Turning Point Action's help, I had to jump all over it because it was a perfect storm. We were going and launching our Healthy Americans Coalition right as this bill was being put together. So the timing couldn't have been perfect, divine intervention if you want to call it that. The Healthy Americans Coalition stands for everything this bill encompasses. That's making sure that we're taking these chemicals, additives, and harmful dyes out of our kids' school lunches, not just in Phoenix, but across the state. Now, I'm a victim of Michelle Obama's school lunch program, trust me. I grew up during that time. I remember it. It was a tough time here in Arizona. It's public schools, I should say. And I remember thinking, this isn't necessarily the right approach, just banning everything all at once. But this right here, this bill, HB 2164, this one is going to be able to take away these tiny, it's going to chip away at our school lunch programs. It's not necessarily going to replace these things, but it's going to go and take the chemicals and harmful chemicals out of these foods that our kids are eating. So I just want to say we have so much support, not just at Turning Point Action, but all of our volunteers, all of our people who go and make this happen. We have 3,500 coalition members nationwide, hundreds and hundreds of them, if not thousands, right here in Arizona. Our coalition members are the ones who make this possible. Without your support and your backing of this bill and with Turning Point Action, we wouldn't be here today. So I really want to thank all of our volunteers who took their time out of their busy days from their kids' schedules and their schedules to come here and support us, Turning Point Action, and this bill specifically. Leo Biasucci, Representative Leo Biasucci, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Right here. Give it up for Representative Biasucci. He put this together, and you know what I really like about this bill is the fact that it's so easy to read, folks. These, you see these bills that come in not just at a state level, but at a national level, and they're thousands of pages long, and you're like, well, I'm not going to read that. And if I'm not going to read it, the people that wrote it definitely aren't reading it, right? So this bill is just one, maybe 2 pages, if that. Super easy to read. Highly implore everyone, especially in the media, to go and read it. Very important stuff. But we're not just going to make America great again and healthy again, but like Senator Shamp said, we're going to make Arizona healthy again. Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone's support. Thank you, Danica and Rob and Callie, for all of you being here, and all of our Turning Point volunteers and staff. Again, could not have done this without you. Let's get this bill passed and save our kids. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for all the organizing as well as for talking with us. Our next speaker is Diane Diaz. She founded the first Arizona charter school focused on children with autism. She will speak on her school's experience of changing students' diet away from highly processed foods and the positive impact it has had in their educational experience. Diane?
Thank you, Superintendent Horn, and I'm so excited about this bill. I've never been more excited about any bill. As founder of Arizona Autism Charter Schools and an autism mom, I'm keenly aware of the co-occurring conditions that come along with autism, like moderate to severe GI issues, attention and focus issues, even seizure disorder, a plethora of other health conditions that come along with being on the spectrum. It is so sad for me as an autism mom and school leader that the school lunches are not good or optimal for our children's health. We are, in addition to being an autism-focused charter, we're a Title I school, meaning that more than half of our kids qualify for free or reduced lunch. But I honestly don't feel good about feeding the kids that lunch and that breakfast every single day, because it is honestly something that I myself would not eat, nor would I give my child. We have seen how at least 40% of kids who do dietary interventions and elimination diets, and not excessive elimination diets, just omitting this kind of junk, improve attention, focus, sleep, attendance in school, overall wellness, and engagement. So why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we make this the norm and not the exception? What's super sad is that when parents at our school decide that they want to improve their child's diet to improve behavior, they have to opt out of the school lunch. So it is a very sad reality, but something that through this bill we are improving and creating awareness, because it's only the beginning of improving our child's daily meals, which lead to daily habits that will help them become fulfilled, productive citizens. I am so grateful for Bill 2164 and this movement, because it is about time that we do this here in Arizona, very intentionally and as a community. Thank you so much.
Is Brian Sigma here?
Right there.
Brian Sigma is from the Foundation for Government Accountability. He's a senior fellow where he focuses on state-level policy solutions.
Good morning. As a United States Army veteran, one thing that I think about when I look at issues like this is the fact that 77% of our nation's youth are ineligible for service in our military due to behavioral and health issues. In the early 1960s, President John F. Kennedy identified public health and fitness as a national security imperative. And now, as RFK Jr. is poised to become the next head of HHS in Washington, it's a phenomenal time to highlight the fact that these are matters about our nation's future and our ability to secure our future. And so I want to thank Representative Biasucci for bringing this bill forward. This is something where Arizona is absolutely leading the nation. I have the privilege of working with legislators in a number of states, and I can say for a fact that Arizona is at the forefront of this fight. And it's exciting to see what's going to happen later today. And so in the fight to make America healthy, let's see Arizona lead the way.
Okay, I'm going to ask Representative Biasucci to come back. He's going to introduce a few more people, and then we're going to conclude with an actual celebrity.
It's true. I think I have my SAG card, but I am not an actual celebrity. I had a lot of background roles that I don't even know if you can see me in these movies. But anyway, you know, when I got back from Italy, I got a phone call from Jake Hinman, who's in the crowd right now, and he called me and he saw my post about all the Italy foods, all the foods that I took a picture and I made a post on Twitter. And he goes, let's do this. Let's join together. Let's make this happen. And now here we are. And then I found out the role that his wife has. So I'm going to bring up Julie Hinman. She's actually the owner of Functional Medicine Practice, and she's really, I wanted to make sure we had somebody who was involved with nutrition and understands this part of the industry and why these dyes are doing what they're doing to our children. So if everybody can please welcome Julie Hinman, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and what a wonderful time to see all of you so excited about health and nutrition. This, as a healthcare provider, you know, it just warms my heart to know that others are invested. And I think one of the most impactful reasons is because we're all seeing the consequences of this as an insidious, it's been rolling for decades and growing. And unfortunately, your first-line healthcare workers like myself, been working with families here in Arizona, both federally qualified institutions, and providing care to them. And what we're seeing, the consequence of processed foods and of the ingredients that are in a lot of these products are creating havoc amongst bodies. And of the smallest ones, right? Parents, we go, you know, I have 3 children myself. We go to the store, we buy food, right? We live in such a wonderful country where we can provide for our children. We bring these things home. In many cases, I feel the parents are just completely unaware. We provide them to our children not knowing that they're driving chronic disease. A lot of what's been shared with you, but what we're seeing is things like prediabetes, diabetes in children, fatty liver disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and we know that. A couple of important statistics for you. Of children who end up being diagnosed with a condition like obesity in childhood, they go on to continue that diagnosis into their adulthood. What happens to these individuals? They then bear unhealthy children as well, and this process continues. So we must take action to protect our children and the most vulnerable under our care, and educating parents and consumers that these are just not things that we should have inside of our homes, unfortunately. As a mom, I want to know that I can send my children to school and that they're okay to eat lunch. At this point, that is not something that I trust because I saw firsthand during the pandemic what my son brought home. And it was not healthy. It was not something that I would have ever provided in my house. And unfortunately, as parents, how do we share this with our kids? How do we begin educating that the stuff that they're being fed in schools where they're supposed to be protected and cared for is not actually safe for them and is harming them? That's a very difficult conversation to be having with, again, our most vulnerable. I'm excited for where this is going. I look forward to seeing what the impact that it has, and I hope that someday those diagnoses that we associated with adulthood, that unfortunately we diagnose as our children, that those are now, again, diagnoses of adulthood because our children should not be impacted by the consequences of these food products inside of their home. So I'm excited. Thank you, everyone, for being here and for the encouragement and the action that you're taking and just having these conversations. Have these conversations with your loved ones, especially those who have chronic disease, and let's take more action in this. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie. Next up, I had a bill actually yesterday in committee about trying to remove some of these really bad foods from our SNAP program, like soda. And so when I was told about Callie Means, he was gracious enough to come in and testify yesterday. Very passionate to a point where he got kicked out of committee for being too passionate. But you know, and he understood and he obviously apologized. But the reason the passion is real is because he's lived this. And he's going to talk about his experience on why he is so passionate. And I understand it. Look, when I tried to pass the bill to put life in prison for pedophiles and human trafficking, sex trafficking, it took me a couple years. And you get passionate about it, and you get angry when things are not moving on common sense stuff. And so I get why it got to that point yesterday when you're in committee and you're testifying on something you truly believe in and support. So although I'm going to work on getting him access back to the House, I want to bring Callie up and so he can share a little bit about his story and what he does. So.
It's my son's third birthday today. And I am passionate because I think, as Bobby Kennedy has framed, as so many leaders behind me have framed, we're at a moment where we're recognizing we're at a existential moment for kids. This contains crude oil. That's what these food colorings are crude oil. They are unambiguously connected to mass behavioral and neurological issues for kids. And this crude oil derived food colorings, which don't cost more, they just have data showing that the neon colors make kids want to buy it 20% more. These are not allowed in any other developed country in the world. And yesterday, and I'm sure today at the hearing, you have food industry lobbyists saying that these ingredients are healthy for children. They are using studies from the NIH that are also funded by the food company. Just last year, an NIH-funded nutrition study, which is also funded millions of dollars by food companies, said that Fruit Loops were healthier than grass-fed beef for kids and healthier than eggs. That is the nutrition guidance that's coming out of our health authorities. I've been working with Bobby Kennedy, and no matter what side of the aisle you're on, he is the most popular cabinet appointment in America right now. I think he's the most important cabinet secretary in modern American history, and he has brought an unimpeachable message forward, which is that we can no longer go on as a society when our largest industries are predicated on addicting kids to ultra-processed food. And that's what we're doing, folks. The ultra-processed food industry was created by the cigarette industry. Nobody knows this. But in 1990, 50% of the U.S. food supply, including brands right here, were owned, the parent companies were Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds. And they moved in the 1990s their addiction scientists, their tobacco scientists, to the food. And they made the bright colors, and they made the chemicals to make it ultra-palatable. And they've weaponized this food, and they also bought off the USDA to make the food pyramid, which recommended this ultra-processed food and was then used to push this into schools. They've sold off those companies, but this was all created by design. So we have a food industry that's addicting kids and rigging laws. This is not a free market that we serve this crap at school. This is a rigged market. This is a rigged market that we have these chemicals. So they've bought off the food industry and then our healthcare industry. There's many good people in the healthcare industry. There's many people saving lives. We should be proud of a lot of things in our healthcare industry. But the fundamental fact of their incentives is they profit off interventions, and they profit when people are sick. Chronic disease, and particularly childhood chronic disease, is a great profit-maximizing invention for the healthcare industry, because when 38% of teens have prediabetes, when 50% of teens are overweight or obese, when there's an epidemic of ADHD and an epidemic of behavioral issues and heart issues and SSRIs and depression issues. This is very profitable, and that's what this food is doing. We have an unimpeachable bipartisan moment. I was shocked, and I hate to be partisan here, but I was shocked and appalled by what the Democrats were saying yesterday. They literally argued that soda isn't necessarily unhealthy for kids. We need to come together here. What's being talked about here is not any financial interests. These leaders behind me are doing this for the kids. This would have been a liberal rally 10 years ago. You can't distinguish what party this is. I think there's an imperative for Arizona to lead, to come together, both parties, and do this simple, unimpeachable thing, which is these simple ingredients that are not allowed in any other country. Let's get them out of our food for Arizona kids. Thank you so much to the leaders.
Passion, right?
Yeah.
It's great. Hold on. Oh, so it don't work. Yeah, we'll do that for now. Perfect. And like I mentioned yesterday, when we were at dinner, and Kelly told me that he was going to call Danica Patrick, and I said, wait, the race car driver? Like the NASCAR? He's like, oh, he goes, she loves this, she's passionate about this, and she would love to come and talk about why this is so important for this country and for the state of Arizona. So everybody, Danica Patrick.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Callie, for texting me at 8 last night and asking if I could be here today. And I, of course, then needed details because I was flying out today. I'm like, I think I can make it happen. But thank you. I'm honored to be here. Politics is a little bit of a new arena for me, and as the things were heating up a year ago, I can tell you first and foremost that the health movement, that MAHA was absolutely a driving force for me. Yes. It's nonpartisan. Everyone should agree. This should be an easy bill to pass. This is very straightforward. We are the party of common sense, which is remove the junk, remove the toxins, remove the dyes. It has no place. But health, I think that it's completely inseparable to say that Maha and MAGA are in any way separated, because the only way that you can actually make America great again is that you feel good. Think about how often you've done something to yourself that you shouldn't have, then you're zero productive the next day. And now think about children who don't have the intelligence, right? They don't know. It is a parent, and it is our responsibility to do the right thing for them. They don't know how to read labels yet. Yes, teach them, that's smart, but we're here to protect them. And so they are subject to horrible nutrition that they don't know right or wrong from, and that we're all learning right and wrong from. And they are going to now be much more productive people. Of course, so many smarter people behind me have spoke to not only the physiological side effects and how there's just so much obesity in this country, but the psychological side effects. And look at the rampant anxiety that is across the country here. This is horrible. And, you know, I'm grateful I don't suffer from that, but those that I know that do, you're stuck. Like a child that can't get out of that negative spin of anxiety can't be productive and can't feel good. So the way that we make America great again, starting now and for decades and decades to come, is that we make America healthy again. This is very simple. This is very straightforward. And as you said, to make Arizona great again, I mean, we saw during the pandemic how clear it was to be in the right state mattered. And I was very grateful to be in Arizona for a vast majority of that. So, of course, I'm proud to be here. We can make Arizona better every step of the way. We have the power within our state and these decision makers in here and you out there. And I'd love to see like the next bill come forward. I don't understand. This is the cheap stuff, but they need a giant factory, right? What about the stuff you pull out of the ground? It costs the sunshine, which is free, in which they tried to take us out of the sunshine for a while too. That was horrible. But what if we get to the point where we then now are able to actually help our local farmers and help them provide the food for our schools? Like there is bill after bill that could get passed moving forward where we not only just get rid of the junk, but we actually give them life force energy. And that's when we make America even greater than it's ever been. Thank you.
And well done. And I want to really quick touch before I come to the last speaker. I want to give credit to Dr. Amen, another gentleman I met when I was in D.C., and he provided me some graphs. And just to show, and it's funny, the cameraman, I don't know where he went, he was setting up the camera, but he actually came up to me before we started, and he goes, I got to tell you what Red 40 did to my child. And he was explaining how when the child took Red 40, like the reaction that his child had and how negative it was, and he couldn't believe that the Red 40s in the toothpaste and all these in our food and all these things. But this is from Dr. Amen. So Dr. Amen does a lot of the neurological studies, and he sent me the brain scan of before Red 40 and after Red 40, and your brain lights up. I mean, just lights up when you have that introduced to your body. And he knows this better than anybody when it comes to the brain, and I appreciate him again, getting on the phone immediately and saying, how can I help? So this next guy, I think we all know him in this room. I'm not sure if you can see him with a big hat on, with a big chef's hat. But look, we're also at in D.C. during the inauguration, and Representative Wilmoth and I, we see Rob on the stage, and he's speaking at the Maha event, and he's saying his jokes, which was a great event. And so he comes off stage, and we just yelled at him, like, we're from Arizona, because we knew he lived here. And he stopped, and he came over, and just to tell you, again, going back to like how personal this is, when I said, look, I'm running this bill, and he gives me a cell phone, he goes, put your number on my phone, I want to help. And here we are now, with a packed room, with all these incredible people behind me. This is, like I said, I never would have thought this would become what it has become. And it just shows you how many people want to make true change. And so, everybody, I would like to introduce you to Rob Schneider.
Thank you. I'll say a quick word about it.
That's okay, you don't have to.
I just want to say a quick word. By the way, if anybody here does like junk food, we have it here for you. I just want to say about Rob that his mother is a former kindergarten teacher and school board member, so we know he had a great upbringing.
I stand before you today
citizens of Arizona, as a stark warning of what can happen to you if you eat this crap as a child. I should be 6'5" at least. Look at me, I'm a balding midget. My pants are too tight. I'm angry all the time because I ate this crap. We can do better so this doesn't happen to your children. Now look, honestly, there is, I did eat this crap, and it did happen to me. I'm totally serious. We have our schools now. If you go to the nurse's office, I remember when I used to go to the nurse office to get out of school or get out. She was just sitting there by herself. She wasn't on her phone. They didn't have phones, but she didn't have. There was no medication, and there was no other kids in there. Maybe a kid got a Band-Aid. Now, if you go in there, it is literally like some sort of triage tent where they have like kids, and there's like which drawer, and they have. It's too much, and it is what it is causing is preventable misery. We're talking about the future of our country, the future of our children, and there's nothing more precious, because we say we love our children, but we don't, as a nation, we don't really do the most basic thing we need to do is give them an opportunity to grow up and have a shot at this, where their brains and their bodies can grow without being starting off running with 1 foot in the sand. And that's what this bill is going to help do. But it's just the beginning, because how come Jamie Oliver can do it in England and we can't do it in the United States of America? We kicked out the Brits 200 and something years ago. But that's something we got to bring back. We have to do that. And if we don't get healthy, and as Bobby Kennedy says, if we don't get healthy, nothing else matters. He's right. Nothing else matters. What does it matter? Democrat or Republican, this is a bipartisan issue. If we don't get this healthy, then we're not going to be able to afford roads. We're not going to be able to afford schools, because everything will collapse. We really are at a turning point where the whole thing could just topple. I mean, if you have, it's amazing, because Bobby Kennedy, you've never had people, my wife saw the hearings. No one has ever seen a cabinet member hearing before. It's gotten bigger ratings than most of my movies. Why? Because people are invigorated by this, because they realize there's a real chance to do something. And this is just the beginning. How about Arizona leading the nation? How about that? Yeah. Like Danica said here, I moved here during the pandemic because I knew that Arizona was freer. I knew that Arizona was going to not be as, California. And I love California, but they really have taken a back seat, and it's a shame, because California used to lead the nation. Arizona can lead the nation now, and I really believe that. And we can do that in a way, stepping forward, that everybody can agree on, is how do we make our kids and get them healthy. There's so many people that to thank here. Superintendent Tom Horn, thank you for doing this, because you're right. My mother was a school teacher for 30 years and a school board member, and she got more votes in our hometown than Pilar. She was a Filipino, she was an American citizen, but from the Philippines. And she got more votes in her hometown than Clinton when she ran for the school board. And nice. I'd like to thank, by the way, I'd like to thank Representative Leo for coming up to me at the inauguration. And he said, if this bill passes, I don't know if I can say this out of school, but he said he's going to fly all of us to go to Italy with him next time, so we can see and experience the food that he's talking about. Now, when we do this, and just to give you an idea, there's a great guy named Raymond Francis, Never Be Sick Again is one of his books. He was a dear friend of mine. He said, if sugar was going to be brought into as a new what do you call it, like a new drug at the FDA, it wouldn't pass because it causes that much cellular problems. So that's like, what? So, I mean, it is crazy. Now, what we're going to need, because I would like this to be the beginning of having fresh food in gardens and literally farmers here in Arizona getting to getting to schools. And here's the thing about the schools. They have great kitchens. They could cook the freshest food. And we have 2 chefs here, one of the world-class, I don't know if you guys know this, but you have some of the most kick-ass restaurants in the world right here in Arizona, right here in Scottsdale. And there are 2 chefs here who want to talk for a little bit. I'm going to put them on the spot here. This is Roberto Caballero and my good friend, Richard Rodriguez. Come up here for a second. These are the chefs who want to help out, too.
30% of Arizona's children are overweight. That's crazy. We have a responsibility as parents, chefs, as people to get these kids some quality unprocessed food for lunch. It should not be that hard. We shouldn't need a bill, but we do. Yeah.
I think the same thing, but like Rob said, all the school has the full loaded kitchen. So why they don't do all the food in the schools? So with all the items that are being healthy for the kids, they start buying all the processed food. I don't got really much against it. I mean, but like I say, like I was talking with my wife last night, the best food came from your house. All your mommies make the best meals every morning for the kids. So why their school, they don't have the same thing in the schools? Instead, they open up a little package, throw in the microwave, and feed in the kids. So they have the ability to do all the great food, like restaurants, like I said, like everybody, like all the mommies. And that's all I can say. So
thank you so much. Thank you, chef. We'd love to get these chefs to help us, and thank you. And I'll translate into Spanish for you. So, mi amigo, el chef. Okay, so this is a no-brainer, and I think it's great. I think it's just the beginning. I think we can talk about how we can bring in fresh food in, and the chefs are willing to help us set up what we could do with the farmers, and I think that really would be a great next step. But this is beautiful to see all these people show up today and see the passion of all the people about embracing healthy lifestyles. So I'd just like to thank Congressman Leo Biasucci for not inviting me to Italy with him. I'd like to thank Superintendent Tom Horn. And Callie Means, you've educated so many people. We didn't even know about the cigarette companies buying General Mills and Nabisco and Kraft. We do now, and America knows now. So thank you so much. Danica Patrick, I'm sorry you're going to miss your flight. And I'd like to thank the Senate Majority Leader, Shamp, for pushing this through. Turning Point for making a difference in this last election. A huge difference. And thanking all of you, because it's going to take everybody to get us together so that we can make Arizona healthy again. You can do it, Arizona!
So the final item on our agenda is question and answer. And I want to say to the press that are here today, thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, please direct them at Rob Schneider. Yes. Yeah, it's 5%. 5%. Yeah, we checked it. We checked it, and it's so the dietitians are doing a good job, but to get rid of that extra 5%, we need this bill.
Do you know where that 5% is? Is it being sold or served, or like how is it?
Well, school lunches are served to the kids, and they found 5% of them contain bad stuff in it. So we need to get rid of that 5%.
So we're not talking about a huge proportion.
Well, but a little bit can do a lot of damage.
Okay. And then just one other question. Is Rob Schneider running for governor? I tweeted that a while ago.
No, let's get Arizona healthy. I'm running for getting Arizona healthy and getting fresh foods in, because I do think we can also get the fresh food from the farmers markets and farmers to get into schools to even make them better than the 5%. But you were going to talk about
Okay, so Kelly, jump on first, and then I'm going to finish up on that question.
Because 30 seconds is, you have to understand from the food industry standpoint that the largest fast food restaurant in America is school lunches. And there's been a lot of corporate capture. So when we talk about cooking in the kitchens, that's not often the case. The USDA under Biden said that Lunchables were a healthy school food, and the CEO of Kraft said that actually the school lunch program, actually getting this processed food as meals, is the biggest growth area for the company. So it's not just the vending machines. Right now, you're actually disempowering, through really top-down corrupt guidelines from the federal government, you're disempowering people at local schools. I think every school in Arizona, there's parents and there's chefs that want to help. I'm sure you guys want to help the local schools, want to make great meals. That's actually being really disincentivized in the current incentives. And there's a lot of processed food, including Lunchables right now, that are served to kids as ostensibly healthy meals. So I would also say the 5%, we have to just get wins and momentum. This is going to take a long time to change. We have an existential crisis here, but this is going to be a country-leading bill here. And I know the folks behind us, we get one win and we can keep getting more. There's a real sea change happening. And I think, you know, that getting that 5% is a great start.
May I add to the 5%? From a medical standpoint, what I want you to understand is that while 5% seems like not much, what happens when these foods are consumed is actually happening at a greater level inside of the body. So when we talk about endocrine disruption, what is your endocrine disruption? That is your hormone system, right? We're giving small children who are dependent upon normally developing hormones endocrine disruptors. It does not matter that it's only 5%. The fact that this is being served, and I can tell you that this is on the school lunch choice because my kids attend public school, this is more problematic than just a small percent. You have to think of the impacts inside of the body when these children are being exposed to this at this level. So,
and then really quickly talk about there's a program actually called Try It Local that was developed by the federal government. Arizona has tapped into this, which I want to say previously about 3 million. I think this year it's 13 million that was brought in. Try It Local program was from the federal government, came out during COVID, literally tells schools to buy local. The money is actually designated to say buy from farmers markets, buy less processed foods. So this program already exists at the federal level, which is fantastic. And the reason why I was very adamant about trying to get in touch with Bobby Kennedy and people that know him is, look, I'm assuming he gets confirmed. I think we all hope he gets confirmed. And this is going to be my plea to him is we need more money for programs like this, like the Try It Local, where we're saying go to your farmers, go to your farmers markets, start having coalitions with your local vendors and making sure this food is healthier and better than this packaged stuff that we're seeing that's in front of us. So the money is there, the program is there. We just got to make sure that it continues and we have people fighting for it.
Yes, I'd mentioned that we are doing this program of getting food from local farms and buying local. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Wait, just on that money piece, I haven't read the bill yet, but I assume that's included in the bill. Is there an allocation of funds to help schools kind of meet this difference yet? And if so, how do you hope to meet that cost difference?
Yeah, so there's nothing in this bill that talks about it because the money is already there. So it's not like you can only, this bill is tied to that money. The money is sitting there already. It's just a matter of making sure that the schools are now going to follow this law, saying you can't use these things. But it makes it easier because when you think of a school lunch program, you think about it, they're almost like a restaurant, right? So they actually go through a vendor. They go through whether it's Cisco or all these different groups. So there's an actual catalog of food. And so you have different varieties of, let's say, chicken or different varieties of this and that. And then you can also go to the local farmers market. So that's the great thing about these dollars. That school can use this however they want. To make sure they're meeting these standards, which, again, I think is going to be a huge win when you have something like 13 million coming from a program like that. It's going to make it easy for schools to comply.
Any other questions? Yes.
Just shortly, on that 5% that was discussed, so we know that 5% is linked to these 11 ingredients we know are toxic, carcinogenic. Now we have that remaining 95%. Europe has around 400 additives. We have about 10,000. So at this point, I don't know if anyone can speak to, as the U.S. hopefully will investigate data that we haven't yet, there's the possibility of that remaining 95%, a large portion of that actually being toxic, carcinogenic, mutagenic, but we don't know because the data is not there.
Yeah, in fact, I had said that for me to support this, there had to be a scientific basis for every item that we named, and there is. Did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, what's so great about this bill is it starts the momentum. This is important for everyone to know. It's something Bobby Case talked about. The FDA right now, which regulates food chemicals, does not know the chemicals in our food. There are 10,000, as you said, food chemicals in our food that aren't allowed in Europe. just a couple months ago before they left office, the Biden FDA said, we don't know. We do not have a list. It's full self-policing. So something Bobby talked about is going to do, this radical thought of actually doing reviews on the 10,000 chemicals in our food. We know pretty affirmatively that these ingredients on this list and this bill are really problematic. But I think what Arizona can do is be a leader as the FDA, not any bans, not any regulations, just getting the science, getting reviews from 10,000 chemicals that every other country in the world doesn't ban. What do they think? The NIH and FDA have talked about getting on that right away. It's going to inform lawmakers. This is a conservative policy to me. There's nothing conservative about poisoning our kids with known carcinogens. And when we have clear research coming out of the FDA and NIH, it'll allow lawmakers to make more informed decisions on additional chemicals.
If I could just add one thing, that one of the things that's talked about, hopefully, there's this thing called Gress, generally regarded as safe. So that goes into that 95%. We don't know. They need to have to be able to prove that. All Bobby Kennedy has been asking is like, let's see the science. And they've not shown us the science, or they don't have the science. And they just say, it's just regarded as safe. You eat it. But I think this is the beginning. Well, the thing I was so excited about with Representative Leo and for everybody here today was that we can get the farmers market and get the chefs to help. And once we encourage the schools and the parents get involved, it can be a community thing where it leaves the schools and then it becomes part of the parents, it becomes part of the lifestyle. And I think, I remember we tried to do something like this at the LA Unified in California. The problem was the kids, we planted a garden and the kids said, I don't want to eat that. It came out of the dirt. So we got to educate these kids about what healthy food is again. And there's nothing more important. I got 2 kids here in Arizona, and I love this state. And the passion here today was fantastic. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming on. This has been fantastic for all of us. Thank you.
We'll do one more. Yeah.
Why now?
Because if this doesn't happen, everything collapses. We got to get healthy.
Yeah, it's a really good question. What took so long?
Okay.
You're right. I have been somebody who's looked into this and been looking at nutrition and these things for a very long time. I know a lot of people up here have. Same. You go back to like Food Babe and a lot of these other doctors have. I literally believe that it's because of Bobby Kennedy being in the position he has now. The conversation has become popular and it's become a topic on everybody's mind. And it's unfortunate that it took that long. It really is. I agree with you. I wish this was done sooner. But sometimes it takes somebody like a Bobby Kennedy to come to the stage and say, enough is enough, and now people are starting to resonate with this. And so when that happened and I saw the opportunity, that is why I got involved. Because I said, look, it doesn't happen very often where you have an alignment like we've seen here with President Trump, Bobby Kennedy, and others. Like, you have people now that are ready to do something about this. I wish it was sooner, but you know what? We're doing something now, and that's exciting. That's exciting. So thank you, guys. Appreciate everybody. Hopefully we have some more updates once this gets through committee today. Obviously, we'll have some more detailed questions then, but I appreciate all of you so much. So thank you, guys.
What time is your hearing?
Yeah, sorry. The hearing's at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock today. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
That's good.